So welcome to another episode of Feature Fridays. My name is Guy Bartram. I'm Director of Product Marketing in VMware in our Cloud Infrastructure Business Group. And today I'm joined by Garrett, John, and Francisco. So let's start with you, Garrett. Introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, thanks, Guy. I'm happy to be on the show again. So Garrett Lair, I'm a cloud solution strategist in the VMware multi-cloud strategy and architecture team. So I work with our partners and also our customers on helping them, shape and execute on their multi-cloud strategy.
Excellent. Thank you, Garrett. And John.
Yeah, Guy, good morning. John Maroney, work in the multi-cloud architecture and strategy team with Garrett as well. I currently lead the architecture side of our team globally, supporting the strategists in our engagements with partners and customers around their initiatives.
Thanks, John. And Francisco from Tieto, welcome. Please
Thank
introduce
you,
yourself.
Guy. Thank you very much. So my name is Francisco Romero. You can call me Paco. And I've been working as a product manager here in TietoEvry, building together with Garrett and many other of your colleagues in VMware, the next generation of cloud that we want to take to our Nordic customers here in TietoEvry, pretty much based on VMware vCloud Foundation, and we call it hybrid infrastructure as a service.
Awesome.
Nice to be here.
Yeah, thank you, Francisco. And we'll dive into some questions about how that's been going for you in a moment. So let's start with John. John, can you just explain to us what is the group all about? What are the type of activities you do? And let's dive into some of the capabilities you guys can provide.
Yeah, perfect. So our team is a global technical pre-sales team. And what that means is we cover rather uniquely a couple routes to market. So we focus really heavily on our VCP partners, our MSP partners, as well as our customers in the enterprise space and global accounts. So what we do in this aspect is we really help sort of identify and accelerate multi-cloud opportunities within those two ecosystems, within those two routes to market. So we, in a few moments, Pat or Garrett will talk through the partner acceleration program. We'll talk about the customer variant of that. And effectively, it is a framework that we've built within the team to help compress the early stage sales cycles for our partners around their go-to-market, their offering strategy, what new cloud services they want to bring to market, how to price and package those, how to design and implement those offerings. And we have a similar variant that we're working on from the customer side to help, really sort of accelerate the adoption cycle, help customers in the enterprise to understand when you go to deploy, design, and really move forward with a multi-cloud environment, what are the design decisions you need to make? What's the strategy around provider alignment? How do you pull in a partner? How do you build a multi-cloud center of excellence? Really everything from end to end on both fronts to help our partners and customers succeed as they either introduce into their organization a pretty robust cloud strategy, or if they have an existing one they're looking to expand. What does that look like from a business point of view with Garrett and team? What does that look like from an architecture and design point from our team? So we really come in and act as that advisor strategically and technically in support of the account teams and our partners and customers.
Brilliant. Well, that's a very diverse set of skills and a very wide area you're covering. So just to summarize that, you're helping partners with the productization and marketing their solution, selling their solution, their multi-cloud solution. And then you're also helping customers identify what that could mean to them, how to utilize multi-cloud platforms, how to get the most value out of it, and how to engage with a partner.
Yeah, and it's so if you look back, these two teams and functions relative to route to market have been separate. But what we've seen with sort of the introduction of multi-cloud as a strategy and executing as a model within the enterprise is that there's a common thread between these two once sort of distinct motions, where a lot of the partners we're working with are looking to VMware Cloud and public cloud natively as a way to expand their infrastructure, deliver services more broadly, and just move in a different motion than they have historically. So in that, we're seeing a lot of the use cases that we're interacting with on the customer side really feed into the strategy as we help partners build their business and their go forward sort of cloud services. And then on the other side, we work with a lot of customers that, can really benefit from the robust services within the VCPP and MSP community for, migration, networking and design, day two operations. So there's really sort of a quite nice complement relative to the work and experiences we have within the team that we think benefit our partners and customers equally as we bring those together.
Yeah, that sounds like definitely a successful kind of unity of what needs to happen and in terms of cloud adoption and driving more customer, I guess, making it easier for the customer to make some pretty tough decisions, right? Because typically they'd have to do all the business cases themselves and try and work out exactly how to do it. And now we've got the experts from the cloud providers and the experts from VMware kind of working with the customer together, which is nice. Garrett, John's given us a bit of a background in the Partner Acceleration Program. You're obviously very deep into this. So do you want to give me your view on how this process has evolved?
Yeah, absolutely. And let me share one slide to make this a bit more visible to the audience. Okay. So this is sort of the engagement model with the Partner Acceleration Program, which in general is a set of IP and assets that we as a team have developed and that we deliver in workshops to our partners and also to our customers, right? And much like the structure of our team is grouped into strategists and architects, the engagement model is also split into a more business-centric work stream, which is what you see on the top, and a technical work stream, which is the one underneath that, right? Mm-hmm. So the way this typically works, and we've done hundreds of them across the globe, right? The way this typically works is the first session with the partner is around their multi-cloud and service offering strategy, which is what myself and the rest of the strategist team do. So we talk about what the multi-cloud market for that particular partner or in their region looks like. What are the customer requirements? What are the challenges that they see? And what are the needs that they have in terms of cloud services, but also professional and managed services, right? And from there, we define a high-level product or service portfolio roadmap for the long term towards that particular partner. And then the second step on the business side is, figuring out the economics of that business model. So that includes, building a business case, TCO analysis, which is something that we have done in a lot of detail with TietoEvry, for example, to really make sure that what the partner wants to bring to market is competitively priced and has a solid cost model associated with that. The next step is then answering the questions of how to monetize each particular service, right? So what are packaging and pricing options, but also what kind of managed services and professional services, which are unique to every specific partner's capabilities, can they build and layer on top to differentiate and successfully compete in the market. And the last step that we as a strategy team support is, the go-to-market phase, where we can help with, sales enablement, sales training, sales materials, and marketing campaigns, and so on. And, the second work stream that goes in parallel to the strategy engagement that's being executed by, the experts on John's team, really starts with, proof of technology, where we run demos and labs on any given platform or solution that VMware has. And as a second phase, even going into a proof of concept, which goes more into detail on the specific partner requirements. We even support, in longer term on the architecture design of the platform. So in the case of TietoEvry, again, this has been the hybrid cloud platform with VCD, NSX, and so on. And then the final step is the technical go-to-market, again, with technical enablement, marketing, and sales collateral. And this is really where this all comes together in order to, accelerate and improve the differentiation, increase revenue and cost efficiency or user experience for our partners. Of course, the multi-cloud world is pretty diverse, and every partner is unique, right? And that's also why we have those 5 different flavors of the Partner Acceleration Program that you can see on the bottom. And this is in line with our 5 VMware franchises that we have defined, right? So some partners may be most interested in multi-cloud. So that's building a VCD platform or building on top of VMware Cloud or any given hyperscale VMware solution. could be more focused on networking, so anything under the NSX umbrella, intrinsic security with Carbon Black and all the other security products that we have, or modern applications with regards to Kubernetes and our Tanzu portfolio. And as the last franchise, the Anywhere Workspace, particularly with a focus on Workspace ONE and Horizon. And in a lot of cases, we will do multiple of these topics in one engagement or in multiple engagements, right? So in case of TietoEvry, for example, we started with the multi-cloud platform on VCD and also some pieces on VMC. And now over time, we moved more into the modern applications and Tanzu world, for example.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be great in this series we're going to do here to dive into these different areas and kind of look at more detail around how do you start with strategy? How do you start with understanding the market position? So Paco, let's switch to you. How has your experience been engaging with the Partner Acceleration Program and having the technical support there as well? Because it's quite it's a hard position to start from, isn't it? Because you've got a lot of capability. The market is very diverse. How has it been kind of working with these guys to make these decisions and bring that roadmap forward?
Yeah, maybe I can show one slide to illustrate who is Tieto, just a bit of for the audience.
Sure, sure.
And where do I get the sharing here? Can I share? Yeah, here. Share a window. Can you see something like this?
Yeah, it's not in presentation mode, but we can see it.
Let's see if it goes in presentation also. Still goes in presentation now?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Very good. So this is TietoEvry. We are pretty much in the Nordics. So talking about our customers, so more than 10,000 customers, and we are ranging from the very small to the very big. We have customers which are as big as 5 virtual machines and customers which are as big as several thousand virtual machines. So talking about the challenges you were mentioning, Guy, exactly this is one of them, that it's very hard to pick up and decide, okay, which one you want to go when you really want to have different options for serving everything. And in this sense, what has been very, very useful for us is, first of all, support with Gerrit, other people in John's team, to understand a bit what is the new technologies, what the vCloud Foundation, a vCloud Director can enable for us to do, how we can use those very flexible technologies to meet the needs of these different customer ranges and segments we have here, and yet make it in a way that it doesn't overload our organization, which is big, but of course it's always busy, and adopt the new technology at the right pace. So lots of different difficult discussion and choices, but I have to say it's been very, very useful in our journey to what we call the hybrid cloud, which we present like this, and we really position it as a hybrid in the sense of multi-cloud. It depends how you talk about it. I mean, to me, hybrid means that there is a strong interaction between the different cloud locations. This may be multi-cloud also, but it's a bit deeper than hybrid. And that's basically the storyline we have been building together with Gerrit and the others for our customers, that we want to give a platform that can be actually deployed anywhere. So the storyline is about not taking the customers to the cloud, but actually taking the cloud to the customers, because we have this easy to deploy, repeatable blueprint created with you guys that can then adapt to a different number of use cases depending on what the customer needs, and depending on any location, whether they want to use from our network of data centers in the Nordic, or build a hybrid setup with deployments on their environment on the edge, or connecting it with VMware deployments on hyperscalers. Any of these models is okay, and the value proposition is that we can use the vCloud Director and equivalents in the public cloud to federate stuff and show a single management plane for the customers, so that all these DevOps and future thinking things that Gerrit is working on with the application modernization and all that can actually work across different platforms, because we have one single API and so on. So it's been very, very amazing journey to build this from the scratch pretty much. And of course, in these things, having the expertise of Gerrit easily available for example, for building a very solid TCO with a detailed analysis of the cost involved, the different models. I mean, it would have been very hard to do it on our own because we don't understand all the implications of the technology and how to put them together. And that has helped us to make an offering which kind of adapt to the market needs, but at the same time, reasonable, managing reasonably the expected cost to delivery, and at the same time having a good roadmap to take first virtual machines, then containers, and so on. In a way, moving along the roadmap of VMware itself, and being able to take that to our customers at the same speed almost than VMware does.
So, Paco. Tell me, how did the evolution of the platform happen? Because one of the things I kind of see on your slides there is obviously hyperscale cloud, and they're a partner as well as a competitor in some respects.
Yeah.
And bringing the portfolio forward from a app modernization perspective obviously feeds very much into some of the capabilities they can provide. But then also I think jumping from that infrastructure only VMs and workloads into containers and that modernization, did that evolve pretty fast from the word go because you had to reach that level to differentiate your offering?
No, it's actually still ongoing process. In fact, so it's still, I mean, a high percentage of our customers are still on the virtual machine world.
Yeah.
And what we want to do, if we want to make the gap for these customers to jump to the container world, very small, because they can consume both deliverables on the same platform, which is, to me, a very valuable differentiation point from having the VMware ecosystem. And because you have the single management plane via the single API that you can use in any environment, the combination, it's kind of very unique. You cannot do that if you go multi-cloud, like using native public cloud and other setup of VMware, because it will never be the same API. So you need to have, it's very important. I mean, you need one single API where you can manage your capacity anywhere, and that is very unique and specific of the VMware full solution. And I think that's going to be a massive success here in the Nordics, because people are asking for those things, but nobody has them.
Yeah, have you found the I guess the new personas, right? The developers who have suddenly now got buying decision capability. It's a big change to our tradition, isn't it?
They are driving the stuff, and it's like you think about the cloud transformation of many companies. It will not fly unless you buy in the developers. The developers need to be bought in the story, and then you need to put something that makes sense for them that they can use, and then I mean, otherwise it would get very hard to get any transformation going if you don't get the buy-in of the developers, and stuff like this ecosystem can help a lot.
Yeah, brilliant. So where do you see the kind of next phase going with what you're doing at the moment and the engagement you're on? So you've got your platform, you've gone through the technical kind of proof of concepts, the pilots. Are you in production now with the everything you want?
VMs fully in production. Containers, I want to push the pedal with Gerrit, but but there is a lot of demand. But definitely containers is where we want to focus, because VM, there is lots of them offering about VMs out there. It's okay. I mean, we have, I think, quite good stuff. But containers, there is not so much, especially containers on not public cloud. And this is once again where we need to break the how would I say, the paradigm, because you talk to the public cloud guys, the DevOps guys, and they don't believe containers can run in anything else than public cloud. And they don't understand that half of the customers cannot use public cloud. We have SREMS 2 coming. We have GDPR compliance in the European Union. There is so many reasons why you will never be able to get customers to public cloud because of these things, that you need to take those capabilities to a private setup where the location is clear, is controlled, the access is managed, and so on. Otherwise, they will be missing those fantastic technologies. So this is exactly what I say. We have a lot of potential to have a big market opportunity in the Nordics, because there are not that many.
Yeah, I think it's a really great time for service providers to focus on the fact that, particularly in Europe, right, where we have GDPR, we have GAIA-X, we have the need for sovereignty and data jurisdictional control. And I think this is now becoming more heard and understood by customers who have previously used hyperscales, which are obviously not under European jurisdictional control. And also, you're getting much more of a kind of native experience by using Kubernetes with Tanzu, and the portability of that also makes the move in and out of cloud a lot easier, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I said you can, you go to the one single place and you can get everything you want out of the top. I mean, that's fantastic. I think it's like, it's everything from the same top. I think it's awesome. Yeah. So to me, I'm very excited.
Equally, I think one of the important things here, and I'm not sure how many kind of partners and customers are realizing this, but developers will develop with tools which are often obtained from the internet, and repositories that are often open on the internet. And they will use code that potentially comes from samples on the internet. And that then inherently gets pulled into your application. And the challenge I see with it is that there's no guardrails. There's nothing to control where and what a developer uses. And the perception is that they have to use a public hyperscale cloud, a commercial cloud, to get those solutions. Whereas actually now, what you have is you have a safe environment, a safe Kubernetes environment, native APIs, just like they don't need to go to a GUI. It's all there on the API. They even have the CI/CD tooling if they need it, which is securely tested and validated by Bitnami, published via the marketplace to yourselves. And this, for me, is much more compelling because you've got the full circle. You can build it, you can then publish it and run it all in TietoEvry's cloud.
This is exactly what I see that they're offering up in the market. Nobody's going for this full offering where you can have the full CI/CD pipeline, supported tools in one single place, like you said, from a secure delivery, with the controls that you want, with you having to influence the controls, like public hyperscaler, which is what it is. So I think that's a very relevant competitive advantage, and I think in a way that many of our competitors are. Because the challenge when you go for this is that you're going to lose, as a provider, you're going to lose lots of managed services because customers will do it themselves. So you need to kind of let go also of the past, the things that as a provider that you were doing before don't work anymore because it's a different business. It works differently. You don't provide any more patching to your VMs because who cares about patching in the containers? So that's also why I see that we have an opportunity here to be in the forefront, because still many providers are still conservative because they know they will lose business, but who cares, because there's much more to it. And talking about our next level is, platform is just an enabler. We want to go with consultative services, with advisor services, with the application services, which is of course where the real beef is. For customers and the real business, and you just need to let go of part of your business, but then you get tap into another one. So it's transformation.
Yeah. Sorry, Garrett, looks like you want to say something.
Yeah, and just to add to this, I mean, this opportunity that Paco just touched on, this is just, getting bigger and bigger as parts of our Tanzu portfolio, evolve and grow, right? So as we, expand beyond just running Kubernetes, but, securing also the application components on top, securing the CI/CD pipeline, which is all part of, the Tanzu Advanced portfolio that's coming up, right? So this story is just getting bigger and bigger for, of course, our customers, but then also our providers who built this as a service and offer the managed professional services on top for that.
Exactly.
And how did you go about the working with the team on deciding, which aspects you needed to focus on as a priority to get to market faster? I mean, one of the things that I kind of think about is when we talk about Tanzu, we talk about containerized platform and solution, which can do many, many different things. Now, at the application level, we can't necessarily be specific, but we can be slightly verticalized in our plays, perhaps, to provide a faster go to market for customers and tractioners. How did you guys navigate, what to do and what to prioritize?
I mean, to me, it's a bit fairly straightforward. I mean, the first thing I want to offer is a capacity. Yeah.
Right.
So we have the capacity in place where we can attract customers to come to that capacity with the environment, with the tools, with the security. Then around that, you can expand on the managed services around that capacity. It's kind of and this where it is a bit more, especially in this container world, it's a bit more blurry. In the traditional infrastructure, it was very clear. You do OS management and everything above. But in containers, it's completely different ballgame. What do you do? But there is lots of things that I think that they are like security. I mean, containers is still a very new thing, but there is so many things that in security-wise, they work differently. How you manage the security, how you manage the network of your containers, how the containers talk to each other, the microservice you build with them. All that part, I think that there is a lot of it's very new. I mean, people don't know about those things, and having a good tool set to support it with, of course, your human capability. You need people who understand and know what to do with those things. That's for me the next level, because I think that's what the customer needs. And there is lots of demand for containers, but containers is just the beginning. It's everything you can do with them and the new way to manage your application. That's where we need to kind of, in my opinion, tap a bit more, because that's huge. And it's fairly new thing. Even containers have been around for a while, but I still think it's a fairly new thing for many organizations. They don't know how to use them.
Absolutely. And what we've seen is typically it's been the larger organizations who have had the capacity to spend and the skills to hire. It's not necessarily been the smaller organizations that have been innovating, because they haven't got the funds to do so.
Exactly.
And whilst this is still a place where it is very open, it makes it, you have to have the skills to do the job. It makes it much more harder in that respect. So Gerrit, how do you go about then engaging and looking at a pipeline of services and working with like Tieto on delivery of those services? Because the whole go-to-market piece is very complex. It's got a lot of different moving pieces. What are the type of activities that you guys do to help a partner accelerate their go-to-market?
Yeah, I mean, this all starts with prioritizing the roadmap of a partner to begin with, right? And in some cases, we do have just some technical requirements where one technology builds on another, right? You wouldn't really want to start, with application transformation and managed application services without having a solid foundation of infrastructure as a service and Kubernetes as a service, right? So this is like the first discussion where we, prioritize which solutions to bring to market first, right? And from there, it's, figuring out what's in highest demand for your customers, right? So are they in any specific industry or in any specific situation where they have a strong need for any given managed or professional service, and matching that against, the partner's capabilities and where they already have skills, right? Because if there's an area which they need to build from scratch, it's probably not the first thing that you want to bring to market compared to something, where they already have expertise in a given vertical or given technology, right? And then once it actually goes through to the execution phase, as in, building the offering, monetizing the offering, and bringing the offering to market, we obviously, build on all the expertise that we've gained from other partner engagements, right? So we have reference architectures that partners can leverage. We have guidelines on, operations and how to make this work smoothly. And we have, sales enablement toolkits, sales collateral, go-to-market campaigns, marketing material, all that kind of things that, partners can leverage and rebrand for themselves in order to accelerate their journey without having to reinvent everything from scratch.
Yeah, and I'm going to do a bit of a plug here for my my kits in Partner Demand Center. So if you haven't seen them, get to VMware's Partner Demand Center. They're free, and they can be completely branded in your own branding for you to use. So you mentioned something really important there, and I wanted to go back to John now, because John hasn't had anything to say for a little while. John, take me through. I mean, you guys are obviously on the forefront here of delivering technically the architecture to support a solution. And what we've seen recently is a lot of different capabilities being announced, a lot of different platforms being supported by Cloud Director, a lot of different endpoints now coming into fruition. And whilst that's great, there's also like trying to jump onto a moving train, right? How do you control that and manage that?
Yeah, so I think it sort of builds on what Gerrit mentioned around skills within the partner and the provider. what they're trying to take to market, where they have strengths, depending upon where they are in the globe, right? They may have a centralization of certain services that their market is interested in, right? So we take a very, very similar approach, build on the work that Garrett and his team do, and come in with very sort of prescriptive and opinionated guidance on how to deliver multi-tenancy, how to perform and implement day 2 operations for the services that are being defined, sort of in a step 1, step 2 sort of manner. So what we do often with our partners is, much like Garrett mentioned, there's sort of a product and services roadmap from what are we going to go to market with. There's a very similar roadmap of technology, products, and services that have to marry well with that strategy. So we try to build a foundation really built in multi-tenancy, really built in simplicity and tenant experience, right? vCloud Director really underpins a lot of this for us as the anchor for extensibility, any sort of container services, again, true multi-tenancy, and just extensibility of the platform to be able to deliver a very specific service and experience to a customer without sort of without impacting the overall stability of the platform. So when we look at things like vCloud Director, container services extensions, the sort of developing integration of the Tanzu portfolio with those respective platforms, we try to work with a partner to do sort of activation around technical competency. We'll do demonstrations, we'll do POCs. We have a pretty robust lab within the team where we can very quickly build these environments, show how it works, walk through capabilities, walk through what the integration looks like, and really sort of in not just PowerPoint and a whiteboard, which are both valuable in their own respects. There is a level of hands-on that we try to really center our conversations in. So it's less academic and more, let's build it together. Let's figure out what this needs to look like. And it really is a joint partnership between us and the provider in sort of aligning the technical roadmap to support the services that are being built.
And like you said, or I think Garrett mentioned that you have like reference architectures, VMware validated designs, and all these things kind of jumpstart that build process, right? It's not building from scratch. It's like, we have a foundation. This is what it looks like. I guess it's the bells and whistles on top that we're really looking at.
Yeah, that's correct, guys. So we try to come in and use things like the vCloud architecture toolkit, which is currently being revamped, right? There's a lot of assets out there that come in again with that opinionated view of here's where you start, right? And then we layer on the nuance and partner specificity around how they run their business, what market they're in, and where they have skills. But you're absolutely right. And a lot of the reference architectures, technical white papers, and assets that we've built over time almost exclusively originate from experiences we've had with partners, right? Where we've seen patterns globally. We've started to recognize that there is sort of a prescriptive way to do this at the very beginning, and then you get and add complexity only when and where necessary. So we try to bring those assets to bear whenever we meet with partners where it makes sense. And I think, part of going back to the initial question around, scope and remit, being a global team and having such a broad view of partner services, the cloud provider market both from an offering point of view as well as a technical design and architecture standpoint, it really allows us to sort of surface best practices and a lot of what's working and bring those into various conversations.
And customers and partners benefit from that alike, right? I mean, the stability you can bring now with those architectures which are tried and tested, the best practices you can bring in terms of operationalizing the solution, all benefit, the running cost, the delivery cost, and ultimately the customer service level that can be achieved. But I think all of this is great. But one of the major kind of challenges with partners, getting the product up and running, making sure it's competitively priced, packaged, and all that stuff, that's a huge challenge. The GTM is a huge challenge, but the sales motion is also a key area, right? We can build it's like if you build it, they will come. You've got to make them want to come. So Paco, how's the sales enablement been for you, and the change, I guess, in sales motion, and how's TietoEvry kind of coped with that and dealt with that from a more semantic business perspective, I guess?
I think it started with internal awareness. I mean, there was lots of work we had to do to explain this new cloud to our internal people in the first place, because everybody was thinking this is a traditional cloud, and then why do we do it? Because we have already tens of clouds in Tieto, so why do we do a new one? And it was a long journey to explain, okay, this is new because many reasons, primarily because we are not coupling the internal development with the technology development. We want to separate things. We want to separate it from the operation of the platform, or the operation of the workloads from the platform. We want to really make it a lean ES, which is something we don't have. So it's future proof. We can go with you guys. We don't have boundaries set by our organization. And this is, has pros, cons, but it's the new thing we wanted to do. And to convince the organization that this is a good idea, it took some time. You need to activate, then of course, the sales channels within the organization with the customer contacts. But here I have to say that once again, VMware has been a very, very useful supportive partner, if you want, because we have had lots of support from the different country organizations from VMware to go to market. I mean, right now, for example, we are having a marketing campaign where actually I have the next meeting with a customer in half an hour, I think it is. So we are dialing the customers, potential customers, and hey, we have this new idea. Would you like to come hear about it? So it's lots of groundwork. In the end of the day, I mean, there is not really shortcut. You just need to do the walk and meet customers, and then you start getting attention, and then eventually some of this realizes. But the internal awareness and kind of explain why are we doing this and why it makes sense to make this different. That was probably the most challenging. I was surprised, but it's lots of work you need to put there internally to make people, traditional sales guys, they are lazy. So they go with what they know.
Yeah.
so you need to, no, you don't sell this, you just sell this. Why? What's different? Which is good also, because it forces you to create the right value proposition, right? But that took a lot of time to convince them. And I think little by little people realize, oh, this actually makes sense. And then, of course, when you have a good price point, that also helps. And that kudos to Gerrit, of course.
Yeah, the price is important in the sales conversation.
It's still ES is pretty much a price business. So you need to have the right price. Otherwise, you don't even go to the next discussion. So.
And that's a great point. And perhaps we can kind of finish off with this. I mean, price is key, as is security and as is performance and everything else and support. But often we find that you're measured against a hyperscaler commercial cloud at a price level, even though the service you're providing is much better and much faster and much more higher SLA. How did you work through that challenge so you could get the pricing where you needed it to be, and one that would be competitive for a customer against a commercial cloud?
We did a lot of benchmark with and then you need to decide what do you put in, and that's where you need to have the hard calls, because it's not so much what you put in but what you cut. And then we try to be very lean, like, you just get this, and be very clear. You don't get more, you get this, no more, no less. And then it's not small blueprint that you're not fooling anybody, but you need to be very clear about what you get with this. And then you can say, you see, because of this, we can be comparable with hyperscalers. Otherwise, if we can do much more, but this is where we can you can compare us with the hyperscalers. The rest is the other service that TietoEvry provides, but this is not this ES. So you need to be very clear on that, and then a lot of discipline on your cost calculation, and it does have to do a lot with the strategic decisions. When you strategically go for this, it helps because this is still a volume. So when you decide as a company, we want to put our future bet here and we see growth, it's easier with the pricing, because then you can scale to several thousand VMs, and that gives you the confidence. Okay, I can put my price here because I will make my margin on time. So it's very important. I mean, support from leadership is super important here.
Yeah, I mean, with scale, you get better cloud economics, obviously enables you to drop your price point and become more competitive. So so in summary, then you can, by being a little bit more prescriptive on the offering, be able to do an apples to apples comparison.
But very important. Separate what do you get and why this is comparable, and you can get more. But this is where you can compare me with the hyperscalers.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And then it's about putting a price on the value add, which is
Yes.
really
Yes, and
interesting work to do.
the soft, but I mean, Azure will not have guys talking to you every day. Azure will not be sitting next to you. These are the things that we can take on our position as a local provider, which then for hyperscale is more complicated, and we play those cards. So of course, that's a how do you call it? Competitive advantage for us. The proximity.
Yeah, and it's an investment for the customer. It's an investment in Tieto's cloud strategy, in Tieto's environmental, social governance strategy to help them also piggyback on that, on the work you do. So yeah, it's very important to get that absolutely right. Well, listen, guys, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
It was great to be here. Thanks for having me. I mean, lovely to talking to you guys.
It's lovely talking to you as well, Paco. Thank you very much for your time. And we are going to have a series of these little sessions where we're going to cover in more detail the different areas. So I look forward to speaking to you guys soon. Garrett, John, and Paco, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Yes. Bye.